Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for that nice introduction. So bond trading boot camp today. Are you guys ready for something different? Today we're going to be talking about bonds, and I'm really, well, not really, I'm going to show you a trade that I'm pretty confident that you've never seen before. So I really want you to pay attention to this. Let me just start with a basic risk disclaimer, and then we'll get right into it. All right, trading or investing carries a high level of risk and is not suitable for all persons. Before deciding to trade or invest, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and ability to tolerate risk. So as we know, these are educational presentations. Whenever I talk about specific levels in the market, it's just where I see value. It's not a trade recommendation to any one person. Great. So again, a little bit more formal introduction. My name is Jonathan Rose, and I've been trading professionally for 18 years. That's what I do for a living. That's what I do to make money. Today we're going to be talking about bonds. So as I'm going through this, do we have some bond traders out there? And that might be ZB, the futures, the 30-year futures contract, ZN, the 10-year futures contract, maybe TLT, which is going to be the ETF, which is very highly correlated to that 30-year futures contract. The reason why we're going to talk about bonds today, or why I'm qualified to teach you about bonds, will be a few reasons. I'm going to be more qualified than most people in the world to teach you this specific trade. I was the director of trading at a fixed income proprietary shop in Chicago, where we had 250 employees and 150 traders. During that time, I trained over 100 professional traders on this exact trade that I'm going to show you. I've also consulted with 2 major hedge funds about bonds, and trading bonds alone, I've personally earned over $10 million. Now, I go through this not to boast. I go through this for your comfort. Okay, there's a lot of nonsense on the educational market, so I just want to share my experience so you know this is the real deal. So you made an awesome choice to attend. This is a great day that Investor Inspiration is putting on. But for bonds, bond trading is really one of the hidden gems of the bond world. Now, I didn't realize this, but after polling my members, retail traders haven't seen how accessible these markets are. Now, I use bonds as my go-to trade. I love trading them, especially right now. So today, I'm not going to show you a trade or a trick or something you can use once. I'm going to show you how to trade an entire sector of the market, probably the most influential sector of the market. I'm going to teach you exactly how I trade bonds, because bonds is really where it's at right now. I'm also going to make a claim that you might find to be aggressive or boastful, but I assure you it's not. Nobody can teach you this trade. I've searched. I've challenged all my subscribers to show me one other who teaches how to trade bonds correctly, and I've yet to find anyone. So if you want to learn options, Fibonacci, Gann, Google, YouTube, those are going to be great resources. If you want to learn how to trade bonds correctly, you are absolutely in the right place. At the end of this training, for those that are interested, I'll show you where to get more. And more is going to be an accelerated process with advanced trading. More will be everything you need to take this training to the next level. And for some of you, this offer is going to make absolute sense, and that's great. I look forward to working with you. On the other hand, if advanced training is not for you, absolutely no hard feelings. I'm just thrilled to be here and glad you're listening to advance your own trading. And I couldn't be more excited to show you how this works right now. Here's the big idea. The bond market doesn't move without the Fed's direction. The discussion of move rates is finally here, and so the time is now. 5-year future contracts can't force Janet Yellen's hand. That's not how it works. The Fed controls the bond market, and then the bond market moves on supply and demand between Fed meetings. Again, the last time the Fed moved, I was able to take a ton of money out of the market because the trade becomes really good and really predictable. I only have 45 minutes because that's how the investor inspiration presentations are broken up, so I might be going a little bit quick, but what I want you to do is just to get an idea of what the possibilities are. Here's what we're going to cover today. For one, why bonds? Why now? I've been told that fixed income bonds are the most technical market in the world. Then I'll introduce you to my bond trading bootcamp, how you can take action, set this up for yourself, and then at the end we'll do a Q&A for whatever time is left. One last thing. I had a discussion with my members to gain an understanding as to what they thought about fixed income. These are some of the things that I heard. It's scary, or it's a big boys trade. Some people said it's slow moving or it's boring. Let me be the one to tell you that's not real. People form assumptions, and assumptions trick us into being fact. Bonds aren't scary. They're not only for hedge funds, and I guarantee they're absolutely not boring. Trading 5-year future contracts is no different than trading S&P futures, oil futures, Apple, Cisco stock, or anything else. Trading is trading, plain and simple. I talk to my clients all day, every day, and here's a snapshot of what I hear, and maybe you can relate to some of this. Some of my clients getting close to retirement and just looking for that extra income source. Others concerned with job security, so they're making the right choice by investing in themselves. And then some just frustrated trading the markets, and they know there's a better way. Well, I'm here to tell you you're in the right place. But here's what I want you to do. Think about your trading and think about your biggest struggles in the market. The most common struggles I see: inconsistency, 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. You feel like you're really getting it, and then you take a big loser, or just an overall lack of confidence. And now here's the hard part. In 3 to 6 months, what if things don't change? What if things get worse? What happens then? My experience has taught me one extremely important lesson that will have immediate benefit for you. If something's not working, stop, change. It seems obvious, but in trading, it's not so obvious. So if you can relate to this, you are absolutely in the right place. So let's get into the bond trading. Why I ended up in bonds. I moved to Chicago to trade the day I graduated from school in 1997. I started in the business trading Nasdaq Futures. After my first year trading, I made $1.5 million, and I thought I was the man. I thought I had it all figured out. But in truth, I had no idea what I was doing. I only had one thing going for me, and I was in the right place at the right time, which now I realize is just dumb luck. Here's when I traded Nasdaq. The green rectangle shows the time period. The trade was amazing. It was volatile, and traders had real edge. But when the Nasdaq hit its low, something weird happened. The trade died. It was absolutely terrible. And for 6 months, I couldn't make a dime. I didn't know what was going on. Here's the lesson I learned that's going to stay with me for the rest of my career. In good trades, anybody can make money. The best are going to kill it, but even a kid right out of college can make $1.5 million. In bad trades, at the end of this huge move in the Nasdaq, the best are lucky if they break even, and the worst are going to go out of business. So this is when I learned the biggest lesson of my career. When trades stop working, get out, make a change. And that's when I moved over to start trading fixed income. I started trading fixed income in June of '03. The Fed had rates at 1%. Over the next 36 months, the Fed raised rates 425 basis points. That's a very, very big move. And then, what did the Fed do? About face. June '06, from 5.25 all the way down to December '08, down to 1/4. I was trading so many fixed income contracts at the time that the Chicago Mercantile Exchange was flying me all around to their best events. On the left, playing with the LPGA Tour Pros, and at the right, playing at Baltusrol Country Club with Tiki Barber. Baltusrol is where they just had the PGA Championship. What I want you to see is look when the Fed lowered rates, and they lowered it very quickly. That's a 2.5-year time span. That's the rectangle on the right. This is straight up. This is about 8 months. This is an absolute one-way trade. Now, is it easy? No, it's not easy. But the thing about bond trading, especially once the Fed starts moving, is we know which side of the market we're trading from. We know here we're buying, and then it's just an entry point trade, and that's when you need discipline. You need good entry points. You can't trade. You can't chase. Have discipline levels and get in, and that's how the trade works. When the Fed was done moving in December 08, just like the Nasdaq, the trade dried up. But this time I wasn't getting caught in a dead trade. I've seen this before, so I was ready to make a change, and that's when I shifted over to be an options market maker at the Chicago Board Options Exchange. Options were having fantastic growth. This was the place to be, but again, the major takeaway and why I'm going through this, good markets are 10 times easier to trade than bad markets. That's it. Simple. Good markets are easier to trade because there's more fat to trim and they're more predictable. Plus, they're moving around. So who thinks the Fed's going to start moving within 6 months? Really interesting because I asked the same question last month. I got yeses across the board, and then a week later we got no's across the board because there was bad data that came out. I think the Fed's going to start moving in their next meeting because I think there's a lot of pressure on them. But nevertheless, just because it's in play right now, that's going to bring volatility. And we always want to trade where the volatility is going. Okay? Think of Apple. If Apple's trading $105 and Janet Yellen comes out and says Apple should trade 70, do you want to be long Apple? Probably not, right? It doesn't mean it's going to go right to 70, but she does have a little bit of power. So that's what the bond market's going to be like. Basic bond knowledge. You probably know this. When interest rates go lower, bond prices go higher. Here's the reason. And you don't really need to know the reason, but I'll share the reason. Let's say I buy a 30-year bond for 3%. Yippee. Okay? I get 3% for 30 years. And it's a $1,000 face value bond. Let's also say, in this ridiculous example, that next week 30-year goes to 10%. So whoever buys it then gets 10%. Well, how am I ever going to get out of my 30-year bond that's 3%? The only way I'm going to get out of this thing is I have to sell it for pennies on the dollar. So it was a $1,000 face bond. If I want to get out of it, maybe I have to sell it for $200. Whoever buys my bond gets 3%, but they also bought it at $200 and it matures at $1,000. And that's why interest rates and bond prices move in opposite direction. Earlier I said 5-year future contracts aren't moving unless the Fed gives them permission to move. They're going to move around based upon supply and demand. This is the 5-year future contract going back 2.5 years. Where is she going? Absolutely nowhere. It's not moving until the Fed revalues the market and allows it to move. So for right now, it's an arranged trade. Here's how the bond trade works. And again, this is the trade that nobody else can teach you. The bond trade's a puzzle. And once you learn to put that puzzle together, it starts making a lot of sense. So I'm going to do an example and be a little analogous. Let's talk about diamonds. And let me also say that I don't know anything about diamonds. Okay? I just want to not talk about bonds for a little bit, talk about diamonds because I think this example sets a nice foundation. So let's say all of us in this room, we're all together and we all go to a flea market together, a one-day flea market. These are the prices for diamonds at the flea market. A 1-carat stone is trading for $1,000. A 2-carat stone is trading for $2,000. 3-carat, $3,000. 4-carat, $4,000. Okay? We all just walked into this flea market together. Well, a couple of hours later, based upon supply and demand, these are the new prices of diamonds. This is what they're trading at. The 1-carat hasn't really moved, still trading $1,000. 2 carats up a little bit, 3 carats up a little bit, but the 4-carat, somebody came in and bought a ton of 4 carats, so those are now doubling, those doubled in price. Well, if we were all there together and we had a bunch of 4-carat diamonds, maybe we would sell those, take our 100% profit, and invest in some of the smaller stones. Again, I don't know anything about diamonds. I just want to use this example because one thing we do know, if that 2-carat is more expensive than the 3-carat, we can probably say that that 2-carat is a little expensive and that 3-carat's a little inexpensive. And that's what the bond trade is like, because people trade bonds incorrectly. This is the yield curve, 1 month out to 30 years. Now we can trade every point on this curve, but what we're talking about today is we're just talking about 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, 30-year, and ultra. These are the futures. We could also replicate this trade using ETFs. Right now we're going to talk about futures. Everything in front of 1 year, we're not talking about that. Those are Eurodollar contracts. So think of it just like diamonds. Here they are on the yield curve. You have the 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, 30-year, and ultra. And these are driven based upon supply and demand. So what happens, and again, these are some of the most liquid contracts in the world. The only thing more liquid than the ZN is going to be S&P futures. Okay? These are liquid contracts. So let's say China comes in and needs to buy a whole bunch of 5-year future contracts. What's that going to do? Well, 5-year future contracts going higher. What should we be doing? Well, if this is the case, maybe it's a good time to sell some 5-year future contracts and buy some 10-year contracts. What happens if at the same time the 10-year gets inexpensive as well? That's what we're doing. It's a relationship trade. In this circumstance, we want to sell ZF and we want to buy ZN. That's how this trade works. They are very, very correlated. The same way that if a 2-year diamond or a 2-carat diamond is more than a 3-carat diamond, probably want to sell that 2 and buy the 3 instead. The chart in front of you is the difference between 5-year and 10-year, ZF and ZN. It's a range trade. Where's it going? Can the 5-year future contract go up for 30 days in a row and the 10-year not move? I'm not really sure how, right? There is a strong correlation. So the way we trade these is when it gets expensive, we look to sell. When it gets inexpensive, we look to buy. It's very straightforward. But where people have problems in this trade is they look to sell and it starts working. They look to buy and it starts working. So then traders want to trade. So they start trading in no man's land. When the market's here, there's nothing to do. What we want to do is stay on the outskirts of these ranges, be very, very patient. Once you get into a trade, appreciate a great level, and then wait 1 day, 2 days, 5 days. This is more of a swing trade. You do not need to stare at the computer all day. All you are is we know the levels that we want to trade, and then we have discipline and we wait for those levels to present. So now I'm going to open up my TOS and get into some more trades. So the way the Bond Bootcamp works, and again, I've really trained over 100 traders in this exact trade. I joined a fixed income proprietary shop. I was the 6th employee. And then we grew it over 8 years to 250 employees with 150 traders. I know how to teach this, so it makes sense. So in the bond boot camp, we broke it up into 3 sections. Think of it like a video game. And I have a 7- and 9-year-old boy who play way too many video games, so I speak video game a lot. Level 1. Level 1's just outright futures, 5-year future contracts. Level 2 is going to be spreads, 5s, 10s, 10s, 30s. 3 is going to be a little bit more advanced. And we'll show you some examples of level 3. But right now, level 1 is going to be 5-year future contracts. Why 5-year and not 10-year and not the bonds? The further you go out on the yield curve, the more volatile those instruments are going to be. When I'm going to trade an outright, when I'm just trading one sector or one bond contract, I'd rather do it the 5-year because it's not as volatile as the ZB. But for right now, all we're looking to do, I'm not sure why I'm in a circle here, we're just looking to sell, okay? This has been such a reliable trade. That's it. Once it gets up here, we're looking to sell. The way I do this trade is I sell 1, 2, and then I sell 3. So if you're doing a 10 lot, it would be 3, 3, 3. If you're doing 3 lots, it's 1, 1, 1, and we ladder into this trade. We are only selling 5-year future contracts. These are really, really expensive. This trade has worked for the last 2.5 years. I wouldn't buy this 5-year future contract with my enemy's trading account. It's a one-way trade. We know which side we're trading on. It's just discipline. This is going to be how level 1 works. Level 2 is when we start looking more at the spreads. This is the 10s bonds. This is how 10s bonds looks. Okay? Again, it's a range trade. When it gets expensive, we look to sell it. When it gets inexpensive, we look to buy it. We also know exactly how to protect ourselves if it keeps rallying. There's other things that we can do to protect ourselves. So this is going to be 10s, 30s. Another great trade is going to be 30s against ultra. Range trade, nice and disciplined. It sounds silly that people have trouble because they trade in the middle, but it's going to happen because it's a really good trade with really good opportunity. So if you buy here and you make money, and you sell here and you make money, a lot of people are anxious to get back in, but that's where I need you to be patient. And when I say an entry point trade, that's exactly what I mean. We're looking to get in down here to buy or getting up here to sell. Okay? Nice and simple. So this is going to be level 2, a little bit more advanced than level 1. Level 3 is going to be more advanced even yet. Level 3 is going to be a butterfly. I was listening to the previous presenter talking about iron condors. Iron condors and options are a butterfly. It's the same thing. So what you're looking at right here, and I am long this butterfly, long ZB, is ZB is going to be the belly of the butterfly, and the wings are going to be the 2 closest points on the yield curve to it. ZB, the belly, ZN and UB are going to be the wings. Again, I understand this is confusing right now. This is the most advanced section of the boot camp. I just want to introduce it to you to show you the possibilities with this trade. Okay? Not trying to confuse you, but I can also confidently say that of everybody in this room, I'm guessing that nobody has ever seen this trade. This is a real trade. For those who trade ZB or TLT, you are at such a significant disadvantage to me because you're only looking at ZB or TLT. I'm looking at every point of the yield curve. So when the Fed starts moving and these bond contracts all get destroyed, we don't sell anything. We sell the most expensive point on the yield curve. And that's where our edge is. That's where our real advantage is going to be. Goldman Sachs, by the end of next year, predicts the yield curve to be where this purple line is. They think rates are going to move 7 times. The last time rates moved 7 times, this is what the yield curve looked like. And so this is all the opportunity, but again, we know where it's going. We know where it's going. It's a matter of managing money in order to get there. How my style is going to be different. I've taught this trade to over 100 professional traders. I make a living taking money out of the market, which forces me to stay on the cutting edge. That's why whenever you come to a presentation of mine, it's going to be fresh. It's going to be something that's in play. This information is in a different league than any other educational competitor. Again, you can't learn this anywhere else, and this is going to be your single source for bond trading. So with that being said, was I able to open your eyes up to a completely fresh trade? Does this stuff look cool? Can you see the advantage of looking at the market in a little bit more of a sophisticated way? And that doesn't mean it's more complicated. It's just learning a trade that really works. You guys interested in learning more? Let me ask this. Have you been burned buying an educational product? Maybe it was an indicator. What did you do when you realized that indicator doesn't really work for you? How did you feel when that expensive indicator started costing you money? At what point do you get rid of it? We all have that sunk cost fallacy in our mind. Oh, I spent $500 for an indicator. I can't get rid of it until I capture that value. That's not real. That's just in our heads. It's time to make a change. And the change is real education with a real trade that works. It will take some time. Everyone who moves forward with this, I'm going to ask you, paper trade. Take it slow. But after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you'll start to get the hang of it. But just learn before you get in there and risk your capital. What I want to do now is take the next few minutes to go over the bond bootcamp and explain exactly how this investment works, because that's what it is. It's an investment in you. So if you're serious about trading, if you're willing to change, you will absolutely love this. Lots of benefits to this trade. I'm going to list 5 benefits that will have immediate impact. For one, it's a proven approach. This is a real trade. It's not a gimmicky trading trick. Of course, with more knowledge, you're putting yourself in a position for better results. It's straightforward. It may not seem straightforward now because I wanted to show you what's really included, but it's really straightforward. Diversification. Whatever you're doing now, this is not correlated. And it gives you the foundation to trade bonds for your lifetime. You may be thinking, what if I don't trade futures? The majority of educators in this space do not have professional experience. I've been there. I've made millions trading this bond trade. If you've never traded futures, I say, great, I got you. Here's what does matter. If you're committed to figuring out a way to make money in the markets, this is for you. If you're willing to give 2 hours, 3 hours to learn, this is for you. If you're not willing to put in the work, you're not going to be happy with this product. It's not going to work out. I don't have any magical trading potion. If you're looking for that, I'm not your guy. I'd like to, instead of me telling you about this trade, go through a few of my clients' experiences. So here's Stacey. Stacey has been struggling doing the same old thing in the market. He felt like trading was more luck. He was so frustrated when he came to me. Stacey took my bond bootcamp, and in his first trade, he made enough to cover the cost of the workshop. And now he's trading more bonds than any other trade. So Stacey got to see the benefits, increased income, and a foundation to trade bonds forever. Next, here's Stephen. Stephen came to me as an options trader. He's a young, stay-at-home dad looking to make extra income while at home with his 2.5-year-old boy. He started trading stocks and then moved over to options. After talking with him and listening to his story, I suggested the bond trade. It'd be a great fit because it's consistent and it doesn't need to be actively managed throughout the day. Stephen is killing it now, and he tells me he only wants to trade bonds now, and you can see from the feedback, he's a stud. I can go on and on. James, one lot, fully recovered my cost of the bond class. Mark, spanking your fixed income trades. Howard, thank you for putting together such an excellent class. Ark, up $200 on his trade. Rick, just finished watching the bond boot camp, watching it for a third time. $400 gain. I can go on and on and on. This is real. Let's go over exactly how the program works. I want to go over exactly what's included and what you're going to learn. A lot of you guys aren't familiar with active day trader. Okay? I am not a marketer. I am a full-time trader. I've never done a workshop that's longer than 2 hours. I don't filibuster and there's no BS. This boot camp is 3 hours of on-demand content that's yours to watch immediately. So here's what you're going to get. It'll show you what should you trade. ZT, 2-year, 5-year have very different personalities than the 30-year and the Ultra. When I trade options, I can be very patient. When I trade futures, I'm not sure why, but I'm not as patient. I know that about my trading. Because of that, I'm a lot better suited to the 30-year and the Ultra. For those with more patience, I'm going to suggest going to that 2-year and 5-year. We talk about the yield curve, that entire 2-year to 30-year. Put that puzzle together. We talk about the 3 levels in the boot camp. Level 1, just outright trading. Level 2, pair trading. And then level 3 is going to be more advanced butterflies. We also cover stocks and options because this trade can be replicated using ETFs. Options, we're just going to talk about TLT options. It's not very option intensive. I just tell you how to replicate some of the positions using TLT options. Here's what you get. Bond Trading Bootcamp for futures and Bond Trading Bootcamp for stocks and options. It's one workshop. It's 3 hours long. Also, easy to read bond specs. I show you exactly what trades we're looking at, what the margins are, what the contract info is, everything that you need. For those who are not familiar with active day trader, 30-day money-back guarantee, absolutely 100% no questions asked. This needs to work for you for it to work for me. And I've done consultations with 2 different hedge funds in the Chicago area and received $5,000 plus each time to teach this very trade. Let's get into how the investment works. You get 3 hours plus of content. The value for this is the value that I received for teaching these hedge funds, $5 grand. You're also going to get a fast action bonus, which I'll describe on the next slide. This program has got a value of $5,199. We're doing this for investor inspiration today for $297. $297 to learn a trade that you cannot learn anywhere else. And this is the correct way to trade bonds, plain and simple. For those that are interested, for those that know this feels right, activedaytrader.com/Fed, F-E-D, F-E-D. Let me also get into that fast action bonus and exactly what that means. The fast action bonus is for anybody who knows this feels right now. It's a workshop on managing your futures position. This workshop is going to cover money management, position management, and it also includes exercises for you to complete while you're paper trading. The benefit you'll capture from this bonus workshop is developing the confidence to manage and protect your position. The live fast action bonus is only available while we're live today. We'll keep that available for the next 15 minutes. So again, exactly what you get Bond Trading Bootcamp, 3 hours on-demand content, yours to start watching immediately. $5,000 in value. A separate workshop, Managing Your Futures Position, $199 value. We're doing this for an investor inspiration special of $297. Also, I know that when I'm learning a trade and I have questions, I need answers. Not that I want answers, I need answers. With me, any questions that you have, I'm going to get back to you before the opening the next day. Usually I'm going to get back to you within an hour because I spend my day trading and talking to my clients. We're going to get into some questions. I see them coming in. We're running out of time. Why I have a live action bonus? People who take decisive action are my best clients. And just like the markets, there's edge in those who move first. Frequently asked questions, which I see a couple of them are coming in. For one, this trade, I'm going to strongly suggest that you paper trade. Paper trade for a couple of weeks, and then as you get more comfortable, you get in there and risk real capital. To do the entire trade, the front end of the yield curve, you can trade with about $7,000, $8,000. Just trading that level one, the outright contracts. In order to trade the pairs and the back end of the yield curve, you're going to need an account probably $15,000 or more. But you can definitely get in this trade $7,000, $8,000 of capital. But again, paper trade, take it slow. This is a trade that's going to last with you throughout your trading career. If the Fed doesn't move, can we still trade bonds? 100%. Right now, this trade is the best trade on the board. Hey, Sammy, these are not options trades. These are going to be futures trades. These are also going to be ETFs. Okay? I know a lot of people trade TLT. If you look at the TLT and the ZB, they are extremely correlated. They are pretty much the same thing. What I really want you to do, a lot of people start with the ETFs, but they eventually, with my convincing, move over to futures. If you don't have a futures account, open a futures account. It's a really, really good trade. The other thing that my members and me really love about this trade, it's a 23-hour-a-day trade. Fixed income markets are not only U.S. markets. They are traded globally. So we get a lot of action on the Asian opening. We get a lot of action on the European opening. I wake up at 6 a.m. Chicago time. The first thing I do is I am trading bonds. I have my bonds up because it's 2.5 hours before the market opens, but there's plenty to do in just the fixed income market alone. So that's what I'm always looking at. So again, activedaytrader.com/Fed. I think I still have about 3 or 4 minutes, so I'm going to get back into my Thinkorswim and show you some more examples. And then I'll keep the questions up and we'll just go with those as they're coming in. I'll talk about some of these. Stephen, how much do the futures cost? I'm not sure I fully understand that question. How much is the margin? The margin for the ZF is going to be about $700. The ZB, the margin is going to be closer to $4,000. Okay, so the further you get out on the yield curve, the more volatile the products are going to be, the higher the margin. So this is going to be that bond butterfly. In order for me to do this kind of trade down here, what I would need to do is I would need to buy bonds, buy ZB, and at the same time, I'm looking to sell 10-year and then sell ultra. This is going to be that level 3. This is going to be the most advanced of all the trades. This ZBUV, this is just 30-year against ultra. Very, very straightforward trade. We're just range trading this. Hey, Sammy, no, you don't need 2 separate trading platforms. I'm sure most trading platforms allow you to trade futures or stocks. All the major ones, Interactive Brokers, Thinkorswim, E-Trade, you can trade futures on all those platforms. I think maybe Fidelity you can't trade futures, so if you're trading through Fidelity, you'll probably need another account. But overall, if you're trading on Thinkorswim, you can just enable your futures. Call them, enable, and again, starts $297, paper trade, paper trade, paper trade. Get more and more comfortable, and then you kind of branch off into your live account. ZBUV. This is the new contract. So discount this, okay? New contracts, they roll. Look at the last trade. It didn't go anywhere for 2 months. Just supply and demand, back and forth, back and forth. Now this is going to be the new contract. ZBUV is very, very inexpensive. The way to buy ZBUV, buy one ZB, sell one UV. Very simple, very straightforward. So it looks like my time is coming to an end. Again, if you have any additional questions, email me directly, Jonathan@ActiveDayTrader. We're going to keep this fast action bonus open for another 10 minutes. You get 3-hour bond trading bootcamp, and then the separate workshop managing your futures position, $297 on a trade that you can only learn in one place, and you will absolutely love it. So thank you, everyone coming out. This is great that this is running all day. Renee, thank you. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.